This video was published by MBKP International, LLC. In this video, we're going to talk about an adjustment for electric paper cutters. It's the EC19. This adjustment will be identical for the EC17. So this video will work for the EC17 or EC19 electric paper cutter. And basically what we're going to do in this video, if you're, for instance, if you set your cut to 10 inches and you cut the paper and you take the paper out and it's 9.9 inches or 9 inches and 7/8 or something like that, or if it's a little bit long, like 10 inches and an eighth, 10 1/8 of an inch. If it's cut a little long or a little short than what you set it to, this is the adjustment you do. What you need to do this adjustment, you need a Phillips screwdriver, you need a 3mm Allen wrench, and you need an accurate tape measure. You don't want to use one of those cloth ones or anything. You want a good, a stiff tape measure that won't bend, so you get a good accurate measurement. First thing you want to do is remove this shield. I've already taken off some of these screws to make this quicker, but you got a screw there and a screw there you remove, and you can remove the shield. Keep in mind when you remove that shield, you're removing a safety feature, and there is a very extremely sharp blade there. So be aware of that at all times. Do not cut yourself. Do not put your hands under there near that blade. Okay, and what you're looking at here, one thing you want to see here is this, there's a cut line here. I don't know how well it's going to show up in that video, but you can see the cut line on your cut pad after using this machine where the blade is consistently hitting that cut pad. There's a consistent cut line, and if there's not, then remove this cut pad and flip it over and start a new line where you can see a consistently straight cut line. But there should already be one there for you. What you want to do is you want to basically probably hit your proofread button first, and it will recalibrate itself. And then pick a measurement to set it to. It's at 10 inches right now. I'll just put it at 11 inches. It's exactly 11 inches and hit OK, and it'll move back to 11 inches. Now I'm going to take this and I'll show you here through the top here. When I take this, I'm just going to butt it up against the outside edge of this peg here, and then I'll do it again on that one there, and just to check the measurement. It should be exactly, you can see how I'm doing there, and then push it snugly against it. What you want to do, you want to kind of go down at an angle so these measurement lines are close to the cut pad, right where that cut line is, and you can see exactly what it is. So go like that and then push up against it and keep it at an angle like that. And then you look under here, and as you can see, I don't know how well it's going to show up in there, but that 11-inch mark is exactly on that cut line. Okay, and I do it to this side as well, but push it up against there, have it at an angle, and again you can see that 11-inch line on your tape measure. You need to push on these type of tape measures is exactly on that cut line. So this one is set perfectly. It's exactly where you want it to be. But for it, if yours was off, here's what she'd want to do, and I'll make this off in this video. First thing you want to do is remove these back screws on this thing here. I've already loosened them so they're easy. There's one right here. Phillips screwdriver, get that one, and then remove this one. I've already loosened these, as I said, to make this quicker, but you take them off with the Phillips screwdriver, and then take that one off, and then get this little, you'll be putting that back like that under there and putting it back when you put it back together, but just remove that and get it out of here. Okay. And then you're going to take this, you just kind of grab it back here, and you're going to, and the side over here, kind of grab it, and what you're going to be doing is just going to be yanking it, kind of pulling it this way. Okay, kind of more so straight back, but a little bit out. And you get it, and you can get your hand under here. Once you get that, it kind of gets stuck on this a little bit. If you need to, you can remove these screws on both sides and try and lift this up a little bit to make it easier. And when you do this, the shield's going to come loose. So pull this out like that, and that shield, you can take this shield and put it to the side. And just remove, go nice and slide this straight out nice and flat so you don't scar it all up. Just like so. Place it to the side. And what we're looking for here, there's a magnet right here. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's a magnet right there and a little screw there to move it. And you take your 3mm Allen wrench and you loosen this up. Just about 2 turns is good. You don't want to remove this screw. Just loosen a couple turns, and I'll do that right now. This is a magnet, so it's not going to fall. It's stuck to this metal as well, but you can, let's do a couple turns on it. Okay. And now I'm going to slide this magnet back a little bit. As you can see, I moved it way back. And now it's going to be way off when I do this. And you can just lightly snug it down when you're done, but you probably don't even have to do that because it's a magnet, but I'll just lightly snug it when I move it. And then whenever you move that, you need to hit proofread so it recalibrates itself. So we'll do that. It's set for 11, so it should be on 11, but since I moved that magnet, it's going to be off. And we'll check that right now. I'll just go on that second one there and just show you what it's off now. Now if you look at it, it's about 10 3/4. I'm not sure how well it shows up in there, but that line is exactly, it's just a little under 10 3/4, but not much. No, yeah, that's right, 10 3/4. No, it's not. It's a little under, it's about 1/8 short is what it is. I'm not sure. It's 7/8 then. Okay, and it's set to 11. It's about 10 7/8 right now is what it's at. So it's way short. It's short, and on these cutters, if it's short, if it's cutting short, when you do a cut, if it's cutting short to what you set it to, then you need to slide that magnet towards the front. If your cut is long, then you need to slide that magnet towards the back. And it depends on how much it's long or how much it's short as to how much you need to slide that magnet. Sometimes it's not, like if yours is cutting 1/8 of an inch short, it's typically about, you'd slide that one about 1/8 of an inch, that magnet, but it's not always that. It's just gonna be a trial and error thing. Try it first to slide that magnet, then mount your cutters cutting short or long, and then we can go from there. But
and what he means by towards the front of the cutter, where you set all your measurements with the little display. That's what he means by the front.
yeah, so if it's cutting short, if you say you set this to 10 inches and you cut it and it cuts 9 3/4, then you're going to be, when you do your adjustment, you're going to be sliding your little magnet that I showed you towards the front, which is this of the cutter. Okay, so if it's 9 3/4, then you need to slide this whole thing towards the front.
So the magnet towards the front would be going, so I'm pointing towards the front of the cutter.
Okay, now I'm going to loosen this and I'm going to slide it now to try to get this back in line. So it was cutting short, and I think it was about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to slide it about 1/8 and we'll see how it works out. And I just slid it with my fingers, and I'll just re-snug this down. Just lightly snug is all you need. Okay, now we're going to, and anytime you move that, again, you got to come up front. First thing you want to do is push proofread, because it needs to recalibrate itself. Now it's going to move to the front. And the next thing you want to do is take your measurement again. Take your tape measure, and you can take one of these center ones since it doesn't have to be an end one. And right now it's a little bit, it's still about a 1/16 of an inch under 11. So it's still, I got it set to 11. It's still set to 11 on the front screen, as you can see, but it's cutting short. If it came down on that cut line, it's going to cut a 1/16 of an inch short. So it's going to be 10 15/16 is what this is going to cut to right now. So it's still cutting short, so I need to slide it further towards the front. Okay. Get my Allen wrench. And again, you probably don't even need to snug this, and I don't think you really do, so I'm not going to do it again because this magnet holds it pretty good while you're doing these adjustments at least. So I need to go a little bit more. So I slid a little bit more towards the front. I'm going to recalibrate it again. Hit the proofread. I'll put this tape measure on here. Push it up right good, and it is precisely on the 11. I'm not sure how well that's showing up there, but it's backing up just a little bit. Sometimes I'm not sure how well it's showing up there. Let's see here. But I can see it's precisely on 11 now. So it was cutting short. I was sliding it forward towards the front of the cover of the cutter. If it was cutting long, then you would have been sliding this thing towards the rear of the cutter. Okay, now that I know it's on good, I'm going to snug this back down. This doesn't have to be real tight, because it ain't going to move much anyway because it's a magnet, but just a nice good snug tightening. Nothing real tight because you could strip that bolt. And then just basically one more time, just for good measure, since you snugged it down for a final snug job there, we'll hit the proofread again and recalibrate it one more time. And just make sure it stayed at that 11, since now it's tight and you know it's not going to move. It's at 11 inches. I'm going to put this here. Again, you got to get it to the edge to really see the mark good. And I'm not sure how well that video shows up. Let me get a flashlight here. Maybe it will help. But as far as I can tell, this thing is exactly on 11 inches. It's precisely on 11 inches now. So that's basically it on adjusting that. After you get it snug down, the final thing you want to do is hit the proofread. Now basically you'll be putting this back together. So you'll be sliding this back on here. Just nice and gently go. Just keep it nice and flat. And before you get it all the way, you'll want to put your shield back on. And just feed it into the slots like that. And then just push it back into place. When it's all the way against this, push it back into place. Get in front of you here. Now this cutter's on. I need to turn this off if you were to reach under there. Unplug your cutter out. It's just a safety precaution to do it. And there we go. Just catch on that magnet because there's some magnets up front to hold this down too. One more time. Again, be very careful reaching under this if you have to reach under this to adjust this. There is a blade up there, and be aware of it. And that's basically it. I was just kind of feeding it into there. It's a little more difficult if you leave this on, but it can be done. If you want, you can take this top cover off by removing this screw on that side and that, and it would make it a little easier. You'd probably also have to remove this shield by removing this bolt here and loosening that one and doing the same thing to the other side. Then you can slip this shield out and remove this top cover. That would make it a little bit easier, but it also is more time consuming, so you can do it either way, whichever you feel more comfortable doing. But that's basically it. I got this cover back in place. Now I just tighten my 2 screws and back down. And that's about it. Put your front shield back on. And now it should be cutting correctly for you. This video was published by MBKP International, LLC.